So I'll start off with why counting calories is like trying to get lucky on a first date. I'll give you the 6-step fat loss hierarchy, and I'll finish off with supplements that are proven to help build muscle and talk a little bit about how to use them briefly. So hopefully that provides some insight for you. We'll start off with why counting calories is sleazy. And basically, it's basically going for the money right up, okay? So basically you're looking at it going, all right, I want to lose weight, so I'm just going to cut calories and then I'll be skinny. And that's all. That's the only thing you're concerned about. You're not worried about health. You're not worried about performance. You just want to be skinny. It's like the person going on their date who's not worried about a relationship. They're not worried about romance. They just want to get laid, right? So it's the same thing. We can't just expect to get straight to that point. We've got to do the foundational stuff first. You've got to go through that process of building health, focusing on increasing your energy levels before you get to that point. So the reason for that is your body is not a calculator. It doesn't just calculate, oh, I've consumed this many calories, I've exerted this many calories, simple as that. It actually is more like a thermostat, which is constantly adjusting to the environment. So a thermostat works by, you say, if there's a new temperature that's introduced into a room and it wants to stay at 22 degrees, then the cooling will come on and it'll bring it back down to 22 degrees. Or if it warms up, it'll, vice versa, okay? So it's basically always wanting to get to that level. So how that works in terms of fat loss generally is that we deprive ourselves of calories and the body says, right, I'm losing weight, this is a problem, this is a threat to my survival, I'm going to slow the metabolism down. And that's a proven effect now. So before it was kind of like a theory, but now they've actually been able to prove that that happens. So they've done a study where they had people on a certain amount of calories and they got them to stay on that amount of calories. They had one group that did that consistently and their metabolic rate dropped below what you would expect based upon the fact that they'd lost some muscle and some tissue. So that it wasn't just a 300 calorie drop, it was an actual 500 calorie drop. So those people had to keep dropping calories in order to losing weight. And you can tell that that's a pretty unsustainable approach. When you're getting down to eating 1,200 calories a day and you're not losing any weight, then you've got a real problem on your hands. You've got a real problem at that point because where do you go? I've seen it firsthand at Fitness First. There was a member who was anorexic, and she knew it. She was studying psychology, as all psychologists. They're all messed up. And she'd come in every day, and her theory was, if I can burn 700 calories at the gym and I only eat 700 calories for the day, then I'll definitely lose weight. And that's what she did. And it didn't really care whether she mostly ate cheese and lollies. That was pretty much her diet. So 700 calories can go pretty quickly. But it was really sad to see that approach to it. But interestingly, she didn't actually lose that much weight for about 6 months. She was coming in for about 6 months and she still looked the same. And I was like, I don't know what's happening there. It was just interesting to observe. Like obviously, it's messed up. It's going to end badly at some point, but didn't seem to. And then all of a sudden, I didn't see her for a couple of months. She was going around to other gyms, and then she came back in, and she'd suddenly lost about 7 or 8 kilos, and she didn't really have much to lose to begin with, but she looked skeletal at that point. So it's interesting how the body, there's a time delay. The things don't necessarily happen immediately, so don't expect linear weight loss. It doesn't happen like that. It's not a calculator. So for her, that's literally what she was doing. 700 calories in, 700 calories out every day. That's forgetting about the fact that we're actually burning like minimum 1,500 a day, you would think. That's disregarding all of that. And she stayed the same for 6 months before finally it just crashed. So keeping that in mind, it's not a calculator, it's like a thermostat. So your body doesn't want to lose weight, and it communicates with you through biofeedback. It tells you when you want to eat more. So it'll do that by increasing your hunger levels, so you'll be hungrier more often. It'll decrease your energy levels. It'll stop you from moving because that burns energy. It'll increase your cravings. It really wants to ramp things up and drive you to eat more food because you're starving yourself and you're getting closer to death. So that's how the body responds. So that's what's going to happen to you. You'll get hungrier, you'll get more tired, you'll get more cravings. The other part of this is that the research has shown if you decrease your calories by enough, then most of the tissue that you're actually going to lose is muscle. Now muscle is responsible for 2/3 of your daily metabolic rate. So losing muscle is not helpful in any circumstance. You do not want to sacrifice muscle in the pursuit of losing fat. So that's where you've got to be quite specific with exactly how much of a calorie deficit you want to be going towards. So as I said before, your resting metabolic rate drops beyond what you would expect. So your only answer is to drop more calories and more, and then you crash and burn.